It is the most wonderful time of the year here in Tallahassee. An ACC Sunday Night Hoops doubleheader gets us started. Number 3, Pitt and Florida State.
Florida burned by Florida State. Just 2 weeks ago, Florida State upset a top 25 Florida Gators team. And if winning close games at home builds confidence, Florida State is feeling pretty good about their chances against tonight's opponent, the undefeated and third-ranked Pitt Panthers. Pitt returns a squad that advanced to the NCAAs, and the main reason for their success is senior Sam Young, the scoring leader, playmaker, and emotional leader of the team. The Florida State squad is confident with physical play from inside and one of the premier perimeter players in the ACC, Tony Douglas. A win by FSU puts them on the national radar. But Pitt is going to be tough in Tallahassee. Exciting ACC Sunday Night Hoops action starts now.
Let it snow in the Northeast. Down here, it's the sun to shine by day and all the stars at night. It's ACC Sunday Night Hoops, presented by Pizza Hut. Number 3, Pittsburgh, taking on Florida State. We're live. 2 outstanding stars in the collective backcourts of these teams. Tony Douglas, who leads the way for the Seminoles, and Levance Fields, surely the general for Pittsburgh. Hello, everyone. I am Tim Brando, and happy holidays to you and yours. Those 2 guards will carry the brunt of the responsibility for their 2 teams, but no doubt about it, Mike Jaminski, one is a prolific point guard, Fields, the other a scoring guard, Tony Douglas.
And both dealing with some injuries at this point. Douglas, a little bit of a thumb issue, hasn't been shooting the ball that well. Fields still a little bit overweight from off-season foot surgery.
But this is manly basketball, G-man. Big man on big man down in the paint.
I love frontline battles, and we have 2 good ones here for Pitt. They've got senior Sam Young, who is a scoring machine. He's improved his range. He can go outside. And then Juwan Blair, force inside a double-double machine down low. Got some youngsters for Florida State. Chris Singleton has improved his outside shooting over the last 7 games. And then Solomon Alabi, a shot blocker in his own right. It'll be tough inside.
One team wants to punch the other in the mouth and make it a half-court game. The other wants to speed it up a little bit.
And it's interesting that Florida State very much built like a Big East team.
Yes,
Big East South, if you will.
Indeed. All right, when we come back, a lot more on this matchup. A former ACC star's brother is in the house tonight in Tallahassee. Jen Hildreth joins us next. We welcome you back to Tallahassee. Tonight, it's Florida State playing host to number 3, Pittsburgh. The 3rd member of our broadcast team is Jen Hildreth. She's standing by with a wonderful story on Jermaine Dixon, the brother of Juan of Maryland fame. Jen?
Well, that's right, Tim. Jermaine Dixon's name should be familiar both to fans in the ACC and also here in Tallahassee. As you mentioned, he is, of course, the younger brother of former Maryland All-American Juan Dixon, but he also spent his last 2 years at Tallahassee Community College, where he became one of just 2 players in school history to record over 1,000 career points. But he told me he has been looking forward to this game for a while. He's going to have a lot of friends and former teammates in the stands. His former coach told me they love him here in Tallahassee. But you know what? I think they love their Noles a little bit better. Florida State looking to pull off another upset over a ranked team tonight on ACC Sunday Night Hoops. We'll have the tip when we come back.
ACC Sunday Night Hoops is presented by Pizza Hut, introducing Pan-Normous, Pizza Hut's biggest pan pizza ever. And brought to you in part by Interstate Batteries. Over 200,000 dealers nationwide. Find one at interstatebatteries.com. Tim Brando along with Mike Jaminski and Jen Hildreth, ACC Sunday Night Hoops. And let's take a look at the Pittsburgh Panther lineup. That incredible front line that we mentioned a moment ago exhibited with Blair and Young. Biggs also an outstanding senior. Jermaine Dixon, a closed down, clamped down guard who usually takes on the best offensive player for the opposition, along with Fields in the backcourt. And for Florida State, Singleton, Reed, Alabi, the outstanding Nigerian freshman, along with Douglas and Jordan DeMercy, who had a career high when we were here a couple of weeks ago against Florida. Leonard Hamilton looking to get his team into the NCAAs in his 6th year now at Florida State, known as a program builder throughout his career. This should be that team that gets him where he wants to be. And Jamie Dixon, now in his 6th year. What an incredible career he has had since taking over for Ben Howland as the head coach at Pittsburgh. Opening tap control to the Panthers.
Pittsburgh much quicker this year than in years past. Timmy, quicker at every position.
Dixon not there. Biggs the follow, and then the tip in. Outstanding work by DeJuan Blair, the sophomore from Shinley High School. They just recently closed that school, Shinley High School.
And he is a double-double machine, and this is one thing that Florida State is going to have to do, contend along the front line on the offensive glass.
Fields on a throw-out. Oh, what nice play just to hang in there. Well defended, though, by DeMercy Jordan.
Yeah, he did a nice job not giving up on that play. Did a good hustle getting back.
Jordan DeMercy has got some ability on the defensive side. Tony Douglas looking to go down low. Reed stays with it, throws up an air ball. Well defended that time by Pitt. On Blair with the outlet. There's Biggs in traffic.
This is one thing also that Florida State is going to have to do, that Pitt really looking to push the ball up the floor quickly this year. Some great look-aheads already, getting some easy opportunities.
Singleton well defended by Young. There's the pull-up, not there. Biggs retrieves it, saves it into the hand of Fields. That time Biggs was not ready for that pass from Blair.
That is an interesting matchup, Timmy. You look between Young and Singleton. You've got the senior Young, the freshman Singleton. Keep an eye on that isolation in that battle.
Not quite 2 minutes gone. Try to get that Florida State run game going, but it's going to be very difficult with the way Pitt likes to control the game. Force you to dig into the clock and play a half-court set, which is not the strength of this Florida State team.
No, and you're going to be in for a long evening. I don't care what team you are. If you're going to grind it out against Pittsburgh in the half-court, you are not going to score many points.
Shot clock down to 1. The prayer is not answered, and Blair puts it into his hands. Rebounds yet again. He's got 3 quick ones.
Look at that, 34 seconds of great defense that time, and they forced him into a 20-foot fadeaway.
Biggs, he's got a face-up game, and he drains the three-pointer.
Over 50% from 3 and a quick timeout by Leonard Hamilton.
Well, in Florida State's first 4 possessions, Mike, 3 missed shots and a turnover. That won't get it done against a team like Pitt.
They're going to have to find some ways to create easy opportunities.
Let's take a look at the G-Man game plan going into tonight's game.
Well, you look at it for Pitt, their first really true road game of the year. And then, of course, Sam Young. Does Florida State have an answer for him? For Florida State, they've got to compete on the glass against that front line and, more importantly, protect the basketball and don't turn it over against the Panthers.
When I look at this Pitt basketball team, I see a club, Mike, that once they start scoring, and they've got guys that can come off the bench like Wanamaker to go along with Gilbert Brown and Ashton Gibbs, some guys that have, younger players. When they start getting productivity from them, they're going to be very scary.
Well, they're 10 deep. I mean, Jamie Dixon has got more depth this year than he probably has ever, and he is not afraid to use it either.
Out of the timeout by Leonard Hamilton. Let's see what Florida State gets, and it's a deuce, which is what they needed desperately. Solomon Olabi.
And we talked about Florida State's size, and this is really for the Big East an undersized Pitt team. They are much quicker at every position.
Blair trying to work the pick and roll, but to no avail. A good show by Florida State. Blair, nice job. He felt the double team coming, and he actually beat Allaby, who was coming down there to close on him.
Undersized, but also a wide body, and has shown a knack to get his shot off in traffic. Just kind of laid his body on Allaby and negated his jumping.
Douglas off the pick by Allaby.
Good screen down. We talked about Jermaine Dixon and how he can defend, but got caught on the screen, and there Tony Douglas had a great look on that, a little down screen action.
And we've lost the clocks. Both the game clock and the shot clock went out simultaneously, and Jimmy Burr over to confer. It looks like a complete power outage over there. There's another example of what's been going on down low with Blair really beating up with Allaby.
Well, this is the thing we talk about negating a shot blocking, just kind of working around a little hello love tap there.
Little love tap,
yeah.
G-Man.
Well, and he has got a nasty streak in him, and he plays a lot like Sam Clancy of the teams in the late 70s. That's the guy that I played against Pitt. Undersized but big.
Let me throw out another name, guy that you played with. I think he fashions much of his game after Charles Barkley.
Yeah, not dissimilar there as well, and has really blossomed. Grew up within a driver of the Pitt campus.
By the way, I'll be very surprised if you don't get a text message from Charles during the first television timeout now that we've given him a shout-out.
Well, yeah, the fact that you did it, too, that I didn't say anything. That's what he's going to kill me about.
Jamie Dixon was talking about Dwan Blair. What an outstanding young guy he is. He's averaging a double-double. He's just a sophomore.
As far as people watching him for the first time, they may not know what a great kid he is to be around, and he's just he's a fun kid on and off the floor, and he's just made our guys better with his energy, and it's shown amazing leadership for a sophomore.
He has done that, and you put that sophomore in there with Young to go along with Biggs, who, you know, when Biggs comes in, they really shake up their front line, takes on a completely different look, Mike, because he can bring people away from the basket. Young with a dump down again, Blair in traffic. Allaby got a piece of that one. And Dwan Blair was rejected. Douglas off to the races. Crowd responds to the follow, but it won't count. There was a foul.
And that was really the first rush up the floor that Florida State has gotten in this game, and it really was spawned by a defensive play down the other end. Allaby coming in as the second man gets the block, and they were able to not have to work against the half-court defense.
Douglas gets to the free throw line. Senior from Jonesboro, Georgia. You see the clock did not start in the last trip down to the basket. So once again, Carl Hess and Jim Burr.
They probably run off about
with it.
6 seconds or so.
Very, very frustrating for Jamie Dixon. He's just said, can we just take a little time out here? Let you guys deal with it. 9-5 Pittsburgh, just underway in Tallahassee. Pittsburgh leads it by 4 here in the opening moments of the first half. Well, just a couple of weeks ago, Mike, you and I were here when number 23 Florida came in, and Ryan Reed got 4 of his 13 in the final 120 of the game. And as we mentioned earlier, Jordan DeMercy had a career-high 12. Dan Werner did have a three-point attempt at the buzzer, but the iron was unkind, and Florida State for the third straight time had beaten Florida. And as big as that win was, Mike, and I don't want to discount it at all, it would be nothing like the headlines for tomorrow if they were to beat Pittsburgh tonight.
Well, in a different context too, Timmy. That was a traditional rivalry game.
Yes,
and that was the intensity of that game in state here, and a good resume win. But this game has much bigger implications. You're talking about beating number 3, and you would have 2 signature wins on your resume that the NCAA Tournament Committee would look at already in the month of December.
Jermaine Dixon looking down low. Consistent picks Taking place up at the top of the key as you see Levance Fields throwing up an air ball. Singleton knocked it out. It'll be controlled to Pittsburgh underneath their own hoop.
The key for Pitt, I think, for Levance Fields, he's got to have low field goal attempts and high assist numbers. So when he's looking to score, their offense doesn't run nearly as well.
Dixon takes it inside among those trees, and he was intimidated by Olive, no doubt. Douglas, that was a pass that he would love to have back. A nonchalant one that was picked off by Fields. Blair on the offensive boards. Whoa, how strong was that move by DeJuan Blair?
Well, that's a great thing you use against a shot blocker, to go underneath the net, to try to get him get hung up in the rim and negate his shot blocking ability.
Olive off the front iron. Fought for, and what a nice hustle play by Dixon to get it to Young. And they're going to get a carry that time on Sam Young. Take a look at this tough move by Blair inside. How strong he was inside, managing to go reversal here.
Yeah, and there's a, you're getting caught a little out of position. Great board work that time, getting Ryan Reed on his back. And then really using the baseline to his advantage.
DeMercy leaves the game and into the action for the first time. His first real opportunity to play against a quality opponent. Derwin Kinchin, number 22. Young man that has traveled quite a bit, came by way of Iowa Western Community College. And he had already gone to St. John's and to Florida prior to that before making his move here.
And this is a real issue. You see an unforced turnover right there by Florida State. And my point being that Kitchen is a guy who can help that. He's a pure point guard. They tried to post him up against Fields that time, but he is very good with the basketball, and they're hoping that he can calm this offense down.
Pitt leads it by 5. 5.5 gone by. Blair rejected. Singleton knocked it out of there.
This is great help side defense coming in, and that's the way you're going to get shots against DeJuan Blair. They're going to be swarming inside.
Uche Echefu also back on the floor along with Kitchen. This kid Kitchen is an outstanding talent. He's considered a Christmas present early for Leonard Hamilton. He only found out that he would be eligible to play about a week ago. And did not anticipate that he'd be able to play until after the first of the year.
And frustrating because he'd been practicing all year with the team, so they knew what they had in him. They just couldn't get him out on the floor.
Once again, that disruptive Pitt defense causing problems for Florida State. Gilbert Brown, number 11, sophomore from Harrisburg, Pennsylvania, by way of South Kent Prep in Connecticut, on the floor along with Brad Wanamaker, the sophomore from Roman Catholic High in Philadelphia. Wanamaker, an outstanding perimeter shooter. Struggled some last year as a freshman, but he's improved this season. Young is stripped by Kitchen, out of bounds to Pittsburgh.
An interesting matchup with Echefu on Young now. He's got the size and the length to stay, and the quickness to stay with him.
Fields will trigger it in. Young from downtown.
That's an area of his game that he's worked on over the summer, misfiring there, but many felt like he has really improved his range.
Singleton for 3. And an over the back is Echefu and Reed. Foul will go against Ryan Reed.
You look at him, to me, his last 5 games, Singleton 10 of 17 from behind the arc, setting up the nice little flex screen along the baseline that time. Didn't get the shot, tried to buy the foul on the play. But he too, I talked about Sam Young improving his range. Singleton starting to feel more comfortable on the perimeter.
That 3 ball won't fall for Young. He's really improved that aspect of his game. Has become a complete player for Pitt.
Really, I mean, the most important guy on the break is the one with the basketball. Nobody got to Tony Douglas until he was well inside of his range. Wanamaker late getting out.
Boy, it's rare that a Jamie Dixon coach team would run away from a guy like Douglas, but they did there. Wanamaker Gives it up to Gilbert Brown. And Carl Hess has a foul, a push underneath. Let's go over to Jen Hildreth. Jen?
It's hotly contested out there on the floor. The Seminole crowd starting to get into it. You know, it's Christmas break here, but you couldn't tell by these stands. And Florida State maybe hoping to play off a little momentum and emotion here.
Well, let me also say this to you, Mike, because you saw a game at a neutral site yesterday. There were games played in college basketball all across the country at neutral locations. For instance, Michigan State playing Texas, but not in Austin, in Houston.
Duke
and Xavier playing in the Meadowlands.
Yep.
You know, I think for the good of the game of college basketball, these coaches need to understand to go ahead and schedule home and homes.
Yep.
That's the way this game needs to be played, especially when you have empty seats at these neutral sites. There you see a shot inside for Olive, but a foul spotted underneath.
Well, and I think the thought process for the coaches, Timmy, is to try to create the NCAA atmosphere where you're always going to be playing in neutral sites.
Now, I understand why the coaches don't necessarily want to play home courts. I just think the game deserves the atmosphere, particularly at this time of the year.
Well, and you look at their schedule. Pitt has only played 2 neutral site games. Everything else at court, they probably had to get their passports to get out of Pennsylvania to come down here.
You'll be getting that. You'll be taking that call from Coach Dixon later.
Yeah, I will throw Coach Boeheim into that mix too. He rarely leaves the state of New York before the start of the new year.
Brown working on DeMercy. Young strong again with the bat. That shows you the strength. Etchefu tried to get a steal, and Young's handle just too strong.
Well, and that's one of the things, too, that he needed to work on was his ball handling. He was primarily an inside player in high school, and he has really worked on all facets of his perimeter game.
Jim Burr spots a foul off the ball. Goes against Solomon Alabi. Timeout. Pittsburgh maintaining control of the pace of play and leading by 5. But somebody's got to check that guy, the #1 scorer on the Florida State team. We'll be back. Coming up next, our first ACC conference game this season on Sunday Night Hoops, as Trevor Booker and the undefeated 25th-ranked Clemson Tigers visit Jack McClinton and the Miami Hurricanes. The action begins immediately after our game. That should be a good one.
Thank goodness we're starting league play and getting into it and finding out who's doing what. And Trevor Booker, one of the great low post players in the league, returning for Clemson, and Jack McClinton off to a fine start. Both of those teams figure to be in the NCAA tournament conversation come the end of the year, Tim.
Yes, they do, which is exactly where Florida State would love to be as well. Yep. Luke Laux, the freshman from Clearwater, has come into the game, Mike, and I think both of us were impressed with him in that matchup with Florida. What he, in effect, can do. Now, Douglas is getting a brief rest, but he's got a pretty good handle, and when Douglas is out there, it relieves him of some of his point guard responsibilities.
Well, I think, you know, both he and Kitchen are out there, and that's going to be their primary role on this team, to let Douglas do what he does best, and that's score.
DeMercy with the outlet to Laux. The trailer is Kitchen. Looks inside to Olive. And he is quickly doubled.
His offensive skills are very raw right now. He's not a guy that you can dump it into and let him score. He's got to score off of penetration and off offensive rebounds.
And another bump down low. That'll go against Sam Young. Take a look at the AP rankings. We mentioned Pittsburgh is #3 in the country, and how about the number of ACC and Big East schools up there?
All near the top. And Tim, consider this: 8 teams from the Big East in the top 25. If you flush out the rest of that, that is a monster league.
Etchefu off the back iron. Look at McGee block out. Oh man, Gary McGee, number 52 in blue. There's a runner that won't fall for Brad Wanamaker. And again, Laux is on the loose.
Yeah, between Blair and McGee, they've got some studs down in the post.
Jordan DeMercy off the front iron. He felt he got hacked. Better not be too demonstrative with Jimmy Burr. He'll light you up.
This is the one thing. I mean, we talk about the Big East, a very physical league, and Pitt certainly plays that way. Florida State is going to have to take a few extra little nicks and bumps.
Yeah, and let's also say, too, if you see the three-pointer being thrown up there by Ashton Gibbs, pulled down into the hands of Kitchen again. Pittsburgh was hot to start this game. They were 4 of 7 at one point. They're 2 of 13 since for a collective 6 out of 20 from the floor. So shots have not been falling of late for the Panthers.
But consider, and this is where they're putting pressure on Florida State, though, Timmy, because of turnovers and offensive rebounds. They have twice as many field goal attempts as the Seminoles, and that's got to come back into balance. It's just putting too much pressure on Florida State's defense.
Gilbert Brown got the foul. His sophomore. There you just see the woeful shooting from beyond the arc.
Well, it's not a strength of Pitt's. Frankly, it's not a strength of either one of these teams from behind the arc. Pitt only, 35%, and right around the same thing for Florida State.
Derwin Kinchin at the free throw line, as we said, the first appreciable minutes against a quality opponent. This kid could be real good news for Florida State once we get into conference play.
Well, and Leonard Hamlin wants to find out about him, too, because he's been playing 25 minutes a game. So he's been playing starter minutes since he's come back just 3 or 4 games into the season.
Down to 7. That's a good find on the wing. Again, the offensive board work tremendous for Pitt, and there's Young making it count again down low.
30 seconds of great defense by Florida State negated by giving up the offensive rebound. It's just too much hard work to not come up with the basketball.
And the thing that you notice too, Mike, is the level of possession for Pittsburgh. There's another defensive trap. Young coming over with a little run and jump to knock it away and create the turnover.
This is one thing that Pitt is doing much better this year. We talked about their quickness. They will hedge strong and they will double team. And look at Sam Young getting out there and getting that deflection and getting the turnover.
But the thing, as I mentioned before, Mike, the level of possession, strong with the basketball.
Yep,
Pittsburgh, when they're claiming a rebound or even on the dribble, they're strong with the basketball.
And that's the reason why they have such great assist-to-turnover ratio as a team. Everybody handles the ball well.
Reed stepped into the passing lane. That pass almost completed to Blair on the low block. Vance Fields will trigger it in. The ball was deflected by Douglas. And the loose ball, a foul. It'll go against Kitchen. First foul on Derwin Kinchin. Jen Hildreth has more on Derwin Kinchin. Jen?
Well, Tim, you guys have talked about, Leonard Hamilton calling him a Christmas present, and he said when I talked to him before the game today that Derwin is just a player who is instinctive. He is unselfish on the court, and he is looking to make the other players around him better. You just can't replace that kind of spirit, and he's got great experience, and just game know-how with this young team is so important.
Well, there's a highly celebrated young player as it goes end to end, and he's fouled. Leslie Jones spots it. It'll go against Gilbert Brown. That's number 2. And maybe finding a home was the big key for Kinchin. As we said, early on in his career, he was spotted by Billy Donovan, did not work out, then went to St. John's, again did not work out. Then by way of a community college in Iowa, he was found, and Leonard Hamilton giving him another opportunity. That happens with a lot of collegians as they make their way through.
Well, circuitous route, but certainly he has the temperament and just the things that Jen was talking about, what this team needs, and not that they're a team of selfish players, but they just needed a steadying influence out there, and then and this kid right here could be that guy. I like the fact, I like big point guards, Tim, and it's at 6'4", he can be a good defender. You see the way he was able to create off the dribble that time and get into the lane. Kind of a Paul Hewitt type point guard, if you will.
Yes, indeed. Florida State, despite shooting 30% from the floor, only down by 4. Douglas again ripping it out of there, looking to push it, but Pittsburgh's so adept at getting back on defense. Singleton out high. Gets Blair for away from the basket, then uses his speed, but unable to finish. It's not a bad idea to get the big fella out of there. Dixon throwing one up from the hip. after establishing contact against Reed. Timeout. All of it inside Sam Young. There's a strong possession of the basketball. This January, Fox once again brings you the greatest week in college football, beginning on New Year's Day with the FedEx Orange Bowl, the AT&T Cotton Bowl, the All-State Sugar Bowl, the Tostitos Fiesta, and finally the FedEx BCS National Championship game. The FedEx Bowl Bash begins January 1st right here on Fox in high definition. There you see Jamie Dixon with those Hollywood good looks. At one time in his young life was doing television commercials seen nationally throughout the country. Out in Hollywood, became an outstanding player at TCU, and then met up with Ben Howland as an assistant coach. Began as a grad assistant at Santa Barbara, Cal Santa Barbara, one of the Gauchos.
Do I detect a bit of a man crush on your part, partner? I don't want to say anything.
It's factual. it's as they say, anybody that did a little kid acting, I'm into that.
You're still a kid.
Yeah, that's true.
But that's and actually the father of that coaching tree, Rick Majerus.
That's right.
Who Ben Howland was very close to. Jamie Dixon still very close to.
Of course, everybody that remembers the Gauchos of Cal Santa Barbara remembers legendary Jerry Pym, that Ben Howland drew close to. Actually, through that period of time, while working for Ben, they were places like Flagstaff, Arizona, Northern Arizona, 2 trips to Hawaii, and then made their way to Pitt, where he was an assistant for 5 years. And we've mentioned it many times, Mike, but what he's done since Ben left is just taken all of the greatness of Howland and built his own charismatic hole within the program since.
7 straight trips to the NCAA tournament. Now, it goes back to Howland, but still, he has carried that on and made that program his. And I think in many ways that he's done what Billy Donovan has done at Florida. The only thing missing from that resume is success in the NCAA tournament.
Yeah, a Final Four.
Yep.
Well, Tony Douglas draws Florida State to within 2.
When we talk about Pitt's defense, I think Florida State has had very good, sound defensive half-court stands in this last 8 minutes or so.
Oh, that runner will not fall for Wanamaker. Again, though, in traffic, he's able to find an open man Fields. Dixon lost it trying to split a double team. Here's Louts. Douglas gets it. Has it knocked away by Fields. And it'll belong to Pittsburgh. Again, well defended by Pittsburgh, and Leonard Hamilton says there had to be some contact in there.
Yeah, but see, if you're Florida State players, you can't get caught up in the referees right now. You have got to play through the physicality of Pitt and finish plays.
Louts with a near steal. Well, again, the tempo is set by Pittsburgh. It is a physical game, and you have to respond to that. And you mentioned this too, Big East ACC type of game. Yep. You're going to be usually in a game with a loose whistle. Yeah, and this is, to this point, has been a relatively loose whistle. A lot of contact being allowed. Nothing wrong with that. That's just the way the game is being officiated at this stage. And these are 3 outstanding referees that we have in tonight's game.
Really have not gotten much out of Blair in the half court.
Young, too strong. And Louts decided to tip that one into the hands of Singleton. And he did. See Douglas trying to warm up. Not this time. Dixon. Again, in traffic. Young not ready for that pass, and maybe one pass too many by Dixon that time as he was looking to find Blair.
Dixon that time should have put the ball up on the rim, because you've got offensive rebounders in position. That's just too tough of a task to make. You got guys who can go up and clean up a miss.
If you look at our game summary, Douglas leading the way for Florida State with 9 points. Blair with 6. I was talking with Jamie Dixon's assistant, Tommy Harrion, who is an outstanding assistant coach, and of course his brother Pat's also been a head basketball coach in the past. We were discussing how Pitt plays so hard on this end of the floor, Mike. They have a tendency, it seems, to play closer to teams than maybe you'd like. In other words, they don't score as much as perhaps they could because of the energy spent on that end of the floor. But I think this team still has a chance to develop into a much better offensive team. Blair not there. Biggs on the glass. Leaves it for Young. Oh, the iron kind for Sam Young.
Well, and it's just right now Pitt out working on the offensive glass, but there were a lot of bumps and grinds in that position too. So, you know, the referees are letting them play on both ends. It's a matter of who finishes through that.
Nice work again into that passing lane. And a smiling DeJuan Blair with the pick. Young, who loves to create the contact. He's going to get to the line as well as any. He and Blair can live at the free throw line.
And he really has shown that you want to make a great player and a great scorer work to his offhand. So here's the pump fake. DeMercy really shading his right hand, but Young showing that he can come back in, get some contact, and get to the line.
You know, this young man might turn down the chance to enter the NBA draft, and it's very rare when a coach seeks out the player to have that discussion. Usually it's the player that seeks out the coach, but in this case, it was incumbent upon Jamie Dixon, and at least in his mind, to get to Young to have that conversation about his point in development as a basketball player.
He had improved his range, improved his ball handling, and the amazing thing, you look at Jamie Dixon and this Pitt team, they've only had one guy leave early to the NBA, and that was Chris Taft, and that was a mistake on his part.
Yep.
But they build it with guys that they recruit and nurture and grow and stay there for 4 years.
Douglas has been a one-man wrecking crew for Florida State. He's looking for a little bit of help. Guys like Holiday, that time Young does get caught trying to come through a pick. Etchefu hits the deck. Sam Young picks up the foul. His second.
Here the look, you see the screen, and that was not an attempt to go around the screen. That was an attempt to go through the screen.
I believe so, yes.
Etchefu is a guy who struggled, Timmy, last 5 games, only 5 points a game, 6 of 21 from the field. Key for him, he hasn't gotten to the free throw line, so this is a good sign, although not a shooting attempt here. Still to get some points. He's such a great free throw shooter. He needs to get to the line more consistently.
Did get nicked up a little bit with a knee problem.
Yep.
Had it scoped a year ago, but it is time for him to round into shape. It's a senior now. It's time for him to really be that second or third option when Douglas is not on the floor, especially. That time Blair got in position to pick up the foul, and it was a push on Singleton. So we will, as they say, trace down to the other end for shots.
With all due respect, I don't know that Singleton is strong enough to throw Blair out of the way like it looked like he was doing. So there might have been a little bit of acting.
Just a little. And that's the 16th foul. So they'll be shooting the rest of the way.
Florida State really packed in on Pitt, trying to make them prove themselves from the outside, trying to keep the ball out of Blair's hands.
Dixon lost it, and Etchefu did the same. And again, a scramble situation and a deflection. Last touched by Tyrell Biggs. And Florida State will have it. You know, you can just sense that Leonard Hamilton knows what's at stake tonight. Mike, you have a quality ACC season. And I think for Florida State, anything 8-8 or better would be that, a quality season. You're going to get into the NCAA tournament with non-conference wins against teams like Pitt and Florida if you're 8-8
and
in the
Cincinnati.
ACC. That's right.
And Cal.
Cincinnati and Cal, that's right.
You know, so they've really upgraded their schedule, and they've performed to this point.
The putback would not go as Olaby was looking for the sensational slam. Fields. Not there. DeMercy clears it for Florida State. Looking for that first lead, and we're 16 minutes deep in the opening half.
I really think the first team to 50 is going to win this game. I mean, the way things are transpiring and how hard it is to score points.
DeMercy has it stripped, and he's fouled. This one will go against Brad Wanamaker. First one to 50, huh? This is not for the squeamish, this holiday game.
A great moment, but Frank wasn't in the picture. He was in the men's room, going again. Another moment, but Bob really needed to go. And when the guys snapped this one, Charlie was stuck in the men's room having trouble going. These male urinary symptoms could be due to BPH, also called an enlarged prostate. But for many guys, prescription Flomax reduces their urinary symptoms due to BPH in 1 week. Only your doctor can tell if you have BPH, not a more serious condition like prostate cancer. Avoid driving or hazardous tasks for 12 hours after your first dose or increase in dose, as a sudden drop in blood pressure may occur, rarely resulting in fainting. If considering cataract surgery, tell your eye surgeon you've taken Flomax. Common side effects are runny nose, dizziness, and decrease in semen. Get the picture? Take a moment to ask your doctor if Flomax is right for you. And call 877-4FLOMAX for a free 1-week trial. For many men, Flomax can make a difference in 1 week.
Emporio Armani Diamonds for Men, the new fragrance. At EmporioArmaniFragrances.com.
Red 47.
I'm comfortable in jeans that are tough. I'm comfortable in jeans that last. I'm comfortable in Wrangler. Real comfortable.
Wrangler 5-star premium denim jeans. Built tough with long-lasting heavyweight denim. Built comfortable with relaxed fit. Satisfaction guaranteed. Wrangler, real, comfortable jeans.
1915, number 3 Pitt with the lead. Time now for the day the earth stood still. Almost to the day, December 20th of a year ago. Number 11 Pitt, 10-0 against Duke, 10-0. A sold-out Madison Square Garden. Late in the game, Sam Young put the Panthers up 2. But old Gerald Henderson sent it into overtime with the Blue Devils leading by 2 and time running out. Levance Fields fadeaway game-winning 3 gave Pitt the 65-64 win. December 20th, 2007, the day the earth stood still. Mike Zinitzky.
I think stood still for him later in the year. He broke his foot, missed a bunch of games, and then came back toward the end, but wasn't the same type of player. But there you see the career assist leaders, number 7 right now and moving up.
Dedicated that shot and game to Mike Cook, who of course was lost for the year. And
early in that game.
Yes, early in the game. And
his ACL.
Did appeal to the NCAA for an opportunity for eligibility, but to no avail. There you see Brandon Knight, a part of that staff, and of course we mentioned Tommy Harrigan also sitting next to him, and Jen Hildreth has more on Brandon Knight.
Yeah, Tim, I spoke to him before the game, asking him about Levance Fields, because he obviously knows how a Pitt point guard works, having been one himself. And I said, well, what about you two? You ever go against one another? He said, you know what? He schooled me last Friday. I'm still not sure if he means on the court or just verbally, but apparently Levance said he would be the best ever point guard at Pitt. He took the steadiness of Brandon Knight, the flashiness of Carl Krauser, and you know what? Brandon Knight didn't really disagree with me, guys.
I bet he's still pretty tough in those 3-on-3s that they have from time to time. Gibbs is now in the game along with Wanamaker. Wanamaker challenging the Florida State defense and draws the contact yet again, this time from Singleton.
Right, and that's a great word for it too, Timmy. Challenging. You can see how we talked about how compact the Florida State defense is, and in spite of that, Pitt really not settling for the jump shots. They're trying to get into the lane to either get shots or let their big guys work on the offensive glass.
By the way, I'm curious, Mike, going back to Cook, who did appeal for additional eligibility in a red shirt, didn't get it. Now, the NCAA has a rule about the amount of games, the percentage of games you get to play, but they don't take into account the number of games you play in the postseason. For instance, had they played 32 games, Cook would have been, okay, ineligible. But if you factor in the 5 additional games, 37 games, the percentage really should allow him another year's eligibility.
Yeah, at when it occurred, and you're absolutely right.
Something I think maybe the NCAA needs to look at for the future. It won't help him. Now Reed goes down hard, right on that hip. You can see that he's in some pain as DeJuan Blair picks up the foul. His second. What do we say about big man on big man basketball? That is a manly foul.
And that may be the most painful place to fall down, right on your hip. Just so little padding right there. Here it is, Ryan Reed committed to going inside, and that's a lot of man on his back there.
Yes, it is.
And he just got caught, and his legs went right out from underneath him.
That's the Big East for you.
But this is the thing with Ryan Reed, and you look at this play again, the nice strip of the basketball and getting into his right hand. Timmy, when he has his big scoring games, he gets to the free throw line. In the 4 double-figure scoring games he's had this year, he's had 30 free throw attempts in those games combined. So that getting to the line is a key for him.
Well, Florida State has struggled as a team from the floor, but they have managed to get to the free throw line and hit 70%. They're 7 of 10 as a team. Reed clearly banged up. Will have to sit down for a moment.
I don't like this rule either. I don't like your own coach being able to substitute for you at the free throw line if you can't shoot. I think the other coach should be able to pick the free throw shooter.
You're a mean man, Mike Jaminski.
Well, because I've seen in in-game situations when a guy goes down with a cramp, his coach is yelling, "Stay down!" It's amazing what happens to a 50% free throw shooter. He's told to stay down, and he's got somebody shooting 85 on the bench that he wants to get in.
All right, I need to know, who did Spinarkle scream "stay down" on your team at 78? I need to know that right away.
No, we as a team, we shot 80% that year.
You were pretty good.
Yeah, so that was across the board. There was
Singleton, it's one of the two. 20-18, Pittsburgh by the deuce. Just over 3 to play. There's a steal by DeMercy. Outlet to Douglas. Wanamaker got him. He was conscious of it. He wanted to get the hoop and the harm. Second foul on Wanamaker.
Well, Jordan DeMercy, a very good defensive player, and Sam Young a little out of control right here. And here's the play, and you'll see at the end that Tony Douglas is looking where the defense is rather than finishing at the rim. Now, he still gets 2 free throws.
Oh, by the way, we're told that Reed just got the wind knocked out of him. He should be okay. And we'll see much more playing time.
And that's the thing, too. When you're up in the air, any player, and you have your legs taken out from underneath you, when you hit, I mean, it's a very frightening thing, and you're stunned instantly, and then you try to take inventory to find out what's really hurt.
Well, Tony Douglas now has 11. No surprise there. Over half of Florida State's allotment, and we're tied at 20. And I think you're right. First one to 50 should win, unless we go to overtime.
I'll stand by that number right now.
Yeah.
They're 2 very good defensive teams.
And probably Florida State, I think one of the things about Leonard Hamilton's teams through the years, relatively undervalued by some nationally, always a quality defensive team over time, Leonard Hamilton's clubs through the years. Whether at Oklahoma State, Miami, or now here at Florida State. Boy, what work by Young. How good is that?
Yeah, you got to face guard him. And I was going to say, over this last stretch, that Florida State had done a pretty good job of limiting second chance opportunities. Young had a free run to the front of the rim.
Again, Gibbs getting a little physical with Louts, and Gibbs picks up the foul, his first. Ashton Gibbs, freshman, Scotch Plains, New Jersey.
All right, so that's just perfect timing right there. And there are a lot of white jerseys that were nailed to the floor on that play. He just reacted more quickly. Coming right along the baseline, Etchefu not getting a body on him.
Luke Louts, his dad was a walk-on for the football team. A young man that I think has got a tremendous upside for the future. His ability to handle is one aspect. The other factor is his late growth. You know, he was a much shorter player when he was in high school, so he plays bigger than he really is.
Well, and to show that the confidence that Leonard Hamilton has in him, he's top 5 on the team in minutes, the only non-starter that can claim that, so he's going to be out on the floor.
Ryan Reed does check right back into the game. Olive sits down, so Etchefu is on the floor now with Reed, DeMercy, Louts, and Tony Douglas for Florida State. Fields, Wanamaker, Young, Gilbert Brown, and Ashton Gibbs for Pitt. That ball was kicked. Gibbs off the bounce. And another push off. On the offensive boards, the foul will go against Florida State. Uche Etchefu, his first.
You know, Young is so active. You're watching him. I'm watching him work on the glass, and he's almost the guy that you have to face guard through the possession as the shot goes up just to make sure that you check him off.
I don't know that the perimeter threat in Young's game was truly visible until a season ago. But boy, after he got that part of his game going, he became almost unguardable. He's not a celebrated recruit coming out of high school. He was at Friendly High School in Clinton, Maryland. He did wind up going to Hargrave Military Academy in the 04-05 academic year. And then he grew in notoriety and more people became aware of him. But he has been one of those talents that's simply improved over the time he spent in school. Levant steals will trigger it in for Pitt. This zone, Mike, has been pretty productive for Florida State, hasn't it?
Yeah, and they've really gotten Pitt out of sync and forcing him to shoot from the perimeter, which is not a strength of theirs. Normally, this Pitt team has a very high assist to field goal ratio, and that has not been the case in this game. They haven't gotten much out of their offense.
Ashton Gibbs with his second. Attrition may be an issue in the second half of this game for both teams, but particularly for Pitt, as they pick up a few more fouls towards the end of the first half. Again, a reminder, first of two ACC Sunday night offerings tonight with Clemson and Miami coming up.
Clemson, one of the other undefeated teams in the country, along with Pitt.
Right now, we're at the Donald Tucker Center, Tallahassee, Florida. Tim Brando along with Mike Jaminski and Jen Hildreth. And what should be a very important game, not only now, but a game we'll be talking about in March, late February, when teams are on the bubble and start talking about those intersectional wins that might mean a lot.
Well, the two main scorers have showed up for both of these teams, in Douglas and Young. I think it's a matter of now who the secondary guys are, who steps up and helps them for both teams.
Dangerous cross-court pass against that zone by Gibbs. Got it back and drained it.
Yeah, he's hit a 3 now in 7 of 11 games, and he too over 50% from downtown. So we talk about a guy who can spread the defense and get it unclogged inside.
I'll tell you, I mentioned it was a scary skip pass, but it did work, didn't it? It got the defense to shift around. Etchefu misses from point-blank range.
Yeah, you've got it. Just Pitt falling asleep inside defensively. Robinson turning his back. You've got to convert that easy play.
Well, Gibbs, you know, wants it. He feels it again now after making that last one. The runner does not go. Tony Douglas pulls it out and wants to settle things down here. Shot clock differential is at 5. We run 2 at Douglas. Panthers do that as much defensively as anyone. Mercy not there. Reed on the offensive glass, and he's bumped. Robinson, along with Gibbs, were in there. Nasir Robinson just onto the floor a short time ago, number 35. Freshman from Chester, Pennsylvania, picks up the foul.
See Ryan Reed the last 3 games really has been a factor on the glass. 6.5 boards per. Did a nice job offensive rebounding.
Tell you, Reed came in there with a sense of purpose for that last offensive rebound, and the timeout taken by Pittsburgh, leading by 3. Well, coming up, the final score, hosted by Barry LeBrock with the latest scores and highlights. That'll be all at halftime. Andy Enfield, an outstanding free throw shooting coach for Leonard Hamilton. We'll also have some tips. Take a look at Tony Douglas. You mentioned he has been on the money so far tonight.
13 points already in this game. Tim is shooting very well from the floor. 3 of 5, 2 of 4 from downtown. Big things for Florida State and for Tony Douglas is the reason they're staying in this game, getting to the free throw line. A big advantage over Pitt there. Douglas 5 of 6 from the game there.
The shooting percentages have been very poor from the floor for both squads. But again, you give both teams' defenses a lot of the credit for that.
You know, this is very reminiscent of a game earlier this year. We talked about neutral court, Washington State and Pitt.
Right.
You know, Tony Bennett's team, a very, very low scoring, ugly kind of grinded out game.
How often do we say it, though, Mike? A lot of times, particularly at this time of year, your players, Leonard Hamilton knows this, your players play hard. They don't necessarily execute as well as you'd like, as they will once they get into the conference season.
Exam time and Christmas break is so hard to maintain your concentration and to maintain some continuity. It's almost like you're going to start the season over again after you get back from Christmas break. This is a very difficult time to play for these guys.
Well, after that violation, Reed will get another shot at it. Florida State's last field goal came with 7:25 remaining. 18 free throws, though, for the Seminoles. That's what's kept them in this game.
Yeah, they're only down 2, so very fortunate from that standpoint. Your defense has to be able to help you hang in when you're shooting poorly.
Fields trying to alley-oop for Robinson, got it back, and almost made it. Well, that could have been some finish for Jamie Dixon's squad. Fields almost willed that one in. We're at halftime. And this meat grinder of a college basketball game. Let's get over to Jen Hildreth. Jen?
Thanks, Tim. Coach Hamilton, defensive battle out there so far. What do you need to see from your guys offensively in the second half?
Obviously, we need to cut down on our turnovers. I thought we did a little better job in the latter part of the first half. And I thought we did a better job rebounding after the first 4 or 5 minutes. We just got to continue to keep executing. Pittsburgh's not going to beat themselves. So if we want the game, we got to go take it.
All right. Thanks a lot, Coach. Tim?
All right, Jen. I'd say Leonard's got a pretty good handle on this one. Coming up, halftime activities, Barry LeBrock with scores and highlights from around the country. You're watching ACC Sunday Night Hoops, presented by Pizza Hut. ACC Sunday Night Hoops, presented by Pizza Hut. Down in Tallahassee, happy holidays to you and yours. And by the way, a very festive looking Mike Jaminski today. I love the red suspender look.
And I was not going to cover it up with a jacket. So.
Sam Young, not covering up anything down low, Sam Young.
And he's really been the most effective player offensively for Pitt. 10 to 26 points, showing you can score in a variety of ways. Pitt very effective on the offensive glass. Here he coming down and finishing, showing some strength inside, the ability to get to his right hand and finish in traffic again. Another strong move. And then this emphatic dunk off of the follow as well. And really kind of startling offensive stats for both teams, Timmy.
Yeah, when you look at those numbers from the free throw line, interesting that we had the Andy Enfield piece on free throw shooting, because this is the most free throws given up by a Pitt team so far this year and the most made by a Pitt opponent.
And I would suggest Florida State to quit arguing with the referees because they are getting to the free throw line.
They are only 4 of 17 from the floor, but have hit 14 from the line. Back with the second half coming up.
For
ACC Sunday Night Hoops is presented by Pizza Hut. Introducing Pan-Normus, Pizza Hut's biggest pan pizza ever. And brought to you in part by Best Buy. You happier. Ready to get the second half underway as you see Sam Young and the Panthers make their way out. Let's get over to Jen Hildreth. Jen?
Well, Tim, I spoke with Jamie Dixon on his way back into the court, and the message he delivered is not what is as important as how he delivered it. You could probably guess when I said, what do you need to do better in the second half? And he said, make shots. But he said it kind of with a smile, and you just got that feeling there's still an awful lot of confidence there in this team, Tim, as he kind of laughed before he said it. Like, his team knows what they need to do. They just need to execute more like they did at the start of the game.
Yeah, I think that after that 4 for 7 start, it looked like things were going to go their way. And then Florida State's zone, Mike, had a lot to do with Pittsburgh's inability to get anything done on the offensive end.
And the compactness of their defense, daring them to shoot from the outside. 6 of 29 after that 4 of 7 start, Tim.
This is a team, and you talk about it often, Mike, knowing your identity as Douglas gets things started for Florida State. Seminoles, I believe this year more than any other under Leonard Hamilton, are establishing an identity, something they've not been able to do. Pittsburgh's been all about their signature being defense.
Yep, and you know, so they clamped down early on, did a nice job of keeping themselves in this game. And I think for Pitt, they've got to defend without fouling and putting Florida State on the line.
Young, is that face-up game we were talking about? DeMercy to rebound, gives it up to Tony Douglas. Ryan Reed working it on Young. Well, that's a travel. Well, fans don't like it, but the bottom line is that was a flop. It went uncalled, and then there was a walk.
And that's the thing. You just got tangled up right there.
It's a good call.
This is the guy with the ball, Levance Fields, who has to get going for Pittsburgh. Really had a nightmare in the first half. 17 completely unproductive minutes. Wasn't scoring, but also wasn't setting up his teammates.
Young now knows how to put it on the deck with the best of them. Rejected. Hollaby got a piece of that one that time.
But that was a possession for Pitt. Everybody's standing around waiting for Sam Young to bail them out one-on-one.
He puts it on the deck. In traffic with the jump hook.
Yeah, much better balance that time. I've been impressed in this game, Jimmy. He's faced up and put the ball on the floor with his right hand much more than I've seen. And Jamie Dixon not liking the start of this game.
Florida State comes out quickly, grabs a lead in the first couple of minutes of the second half.
There's no way to hide it. If you drive drunk, we will find you. Cops everywhere are stepping up enforcement and cracking down like never before.
Sir, have you been drinking tonight? Sir, have you been drinking this evening? Sir, have you been drinking tonight?
Make no mistake, you will get caught and you will be arrested. Over the limit, under arrest.
I'm Ozzy Osbourne and I'm the Prince of Darkness.
The Lich King is the Prince of Darkness, Ozzy.
Well, maybe you're the one who's been riding a bloody crazy train, but I've been the Prince of Darkness since 1979.
There can be only one Prince of Darkness.
World of Warcraft. Try it for free at warcraft.com.
Rated T for Teen.
Nobody gives you more power than Interstate Batteries. And we have a national warranty program with over 200,000 dealers to back it up. How do we make them so powerful? Now that's a secret. And here's another secret. We've got every battery for every need. Interstate Batteries, the official battery of Joe Gibbs Racing.
Tonight's broadcast is on AFN. That's the American Forces Network, broadcasting to the U.S. Armed Forces, serving in 177 countries and aboard ships at sea. They're watching around the world in Iraq, Germany, Italy, Southwest Asia, South Korea, and Japan. God bless you for all that you do for us, and welcome to our broadcast. Hope you're having as happy a holiday as you possibly can. Tim Brando, Mike Kaminsky, Jen Hildreth. You know, we were talking a little earlier, Mike, about the success of Jamie Dixon. Think about this. A year ago, his team lost 10 times. That's the most losses he's had in a single season. Those are the numbers you see. 31 wins, most ever for Pitt coach. And then 27 wins last year, and they went 7-5 after Fields got hurt and missed 12 games.
And that's not in a mid-major conference either.
No,
that's in the Big East.
And that's getting hot and winning all of the games at the Big East tournament to claim the Big East tournament championship.
Well, there's tremendous loyalty at the university between Jamie Dixon and his administration, his AD and the president, and it is very much a team, and he knows how important that continuity and unity is to building a program.
Blair rejected again. I tell you, the long, athletic front line of Florida State is giving these broad, undersized big men from Pittsburgh some trouble.
And they're gonna see a lot of that. We talk about the conference in the Big East, but Florida State, those guys up front can clean up a lot of mistakes. It allows your perimeter people to take some more chances.
It's interesting, Mike, because in Pittsburgh's case, Florida State players have a hard time staying on the block because of the lack of strength. And in Pitt's case, they're having difficulty dealing with the length of the Florida State defenders down low. Singleton. Chris Singleton, the freshman from Dunwoody. Look out if he warms up. Florida State, fresh off its first lead at 28-26, now extends its lead to 5.
And that should be a confidence builder for the freshman. Didn't have a field goal in the first half, but to be able to step out and knock down a 3. There was nice ball movement around the perimeter to give him an open look.
Ball is kicked by Douglas. Just over 3 minutes gone by.
So you'll see the ball move all the way around the court and find an open man. That is a great extra pass by DeMercy, and it gives his teammate an open look.
One of the issues that this Pittsburgh team may find out, as you see Fields from downtown does not go. Reed can't hold on to it. Out of bounds, it was knocked away by Pittsburgh. Is that the way they play at times can make it difficult to come back from a deficit, particularly when you're on the road in the second half. And this is really the first time this year that this club is finding out what it's got in its tank when they're behind in a game. Running through screen after screen, Douglas giving it up. DeMercy passed up a shot and then an unforced error looking for Singleton. He knew it. Mike, you mentioned this game is reminiscent of the Washington State game, at least in the first 20 minutes for Pittsburgh.
Yeah, and you know, Washington State, a very good defensive team in its own right, and they really packed it in, challenged Pitt to make some shots from the perimeter.
Young, there's Blair, that strength down low. But again, on that putback, Singleton comes over to give help. Young in traffic, loses it. Douglas rejected from the backside. Nice work by Blair. Out of bounds, it belongs to Pittsburgh.
Yeah, you got to talk to your teammate and yell at him and say somebody's bearing down at you from behind. It's rare that you'll see a big guy come from behind and make that type of play on a point guard.
Pitt has missed its last 10 shots going back to the end of the first half. Young just ran out of room, but Singleton pushed him. So it's a foul against the freshman. Timeout, 15:50 remaining in the game. Florida State with its largest lead of the night.
I'm comfortable in jeans that are tough. I'm comfortable in Wrangler, real comfortable.
Wrangler 5-star premium denim jeans. Satisfaction guaranteed. Wrangler, real comfortable jeans.
Are you going to the bathroom more than ever?
You're not alone. Waking up a lot at night to go.
Stopping and starting.
Feeling that urgency.
You're not alone.
Lots of guys get urinary symptoms due to BPH, also called an enlarged prostate. And for many of these guys, prescription Flomax reduces their urinary symptoms due to BPH in 1 week. Only your doctor can tell if you have BPH, not a more serious condition like prostate cancer. Avoid driving or hazardous tasks for 12 hours after your first dose or increase in dose, as a sudden drop in blood pressure may occur, rarely resulting in fainting. If considering cataract surgery, tell your eye surgeon you've taken Flomax. Common side effects are runny nose, dizziness, and decrease in semen. Want to learn more about your urinary symptoms? You're not alone. Talk to your doctor and see if Flomax is right for you. For a free 1-week trial, call 877-4FLOMAX. For many men, Flomax can make a difference in 1 week.
Prudential helps to build rock-solid communities, like Newark, New Jersey. See the grandeur of the New Jersey Performing Arts Center, the fact and fun-filled Newark Museum, the New Jersey Historical Society. Newark also has picturesque parks, historic churches, and more. There's lots to do right in your backyard. Prudential, helping to build rock-solid communities like Newark, New Jersey.
Our ACC Sunday Night Hoops presented by Pizza Hut doubleheader continues. 25th ranked Clemson against Miami. Coverage begins right after our game in high definition. And Ron Thule and Dan Bonner will have that for you. I believe Deb Antonelli is also on hand, so that'll be a fun game for them to watch. And look at, we see those two guys that will be a part of that matchup that are among the active career leaders in points scored in the ACC.
And I think for Casey Rivers, we know about his scoring ability, leadership, and how he takes over that team is going to be a huge thing for Oliver Purnell. But you talk about two teams or two programs going in the right direction. Frank Haith has done a terrific job down in Miami, and then Oliver's done a terrific job at Clemson.
Absolutely. Establishing the kind of identity that they really wanted. Oliver Purnell was already a winner at Dayton, and Frank, of course, outstanding assistant coach both at Wake and with Rick Barnes at Texas. whom he is credited with much of his success. Fields given a once-over by Biggs, and foul goes against Tyrell Biggs.
Here we go, now. Here we go. Here we go. Come on now. Come on.
Tony Douglas, who's been outstanding tonight. Senior has really delivered the goods for Florida State. You know, his action off the ball, Mike, has also been outstanding. We know what he can do with the basketball, but off the ball, he's been perpetual motion.
And right now, Florida State is the team that has come alive offensively. They are seeing a big basket, especially from downtown, and that is not good news for Pittsburgh.
Dixon and Jermaine answers, the junior from Baltimore.
As a huge confidence builder for them. They needed somebody to come alive on the perimeter.
Kitchen in traffic, not enough spacing that time. A turnover. Levance Fields in the open court. A blow by and the flush by Blair. Nice work by DeJuan Blair.
Yeah, he has to feel very frustrated. He's going to be seeing a lot of collapsing defenses this year, Tim, and he hasn't gotten that many touches. So to be able to get out and run and get some success on the other end on the break, I think good for him.
Well, Florida State has exerted itself on the offensive end the opening moments of this half. But as Leonard Hamilton told Jim Hildreth at halftime, Pitt won't beat themselves. You've got to go out and earn it. Dixon for three. Count it.
Wow, and that was one of those, I don't know about that shot. It was a 2-on-3 break with a defender all over him, but Dixon feeling good about himself offensively.
And Leonard Hamilton gets a timeout. That was an in-your-face return to sender by Pittsburgh after they had fallen behind by the largest margin of the evening. A couple of quick trays to get them back into a tie game with just over 14 remaining in the game. This is that sort of free gate, get down the floor and show what you know, DeJuan Blair.
Well, Blair started it with the defense getting the poke from behind and then not giving up on the play. You don't concede that your point guard is going to make the play. That's just good hustle end to end. He beat Olaby down the floor after getting the turnover.
8 unanswered for the Panthers after falling behind 34-26. We mentioned that this is a team that tends to not run away from its opponents when it gets a lead, but at the same time, you wonder how they can counter when they fall behind. I think we got the answer.
Yeah, right there, and then out of necessity, and Reed hitting a couple of three-pointers, but the thing is they win ugly and have won ugly, and they like to win
Yes,
ugly.
they do. I think Jamie wears it like a badge of honor, as does Ben Howland, really. Nice defensive work again by Wanamaker, swatting it away. The guard, he gets a chest thump from Sam Young. DeMercy will trigger it in with 12 to shoot. Kitchen lost his dribble. Needs some help. Shot clock winding down. He gets it back from Reed. The clock winding down. Did get it on the iron, so no violation. Loose ball taken away by Brown. And quickly out the fields. Leaves it for Wanamaker. Swatted away by DeMercy. Oh, DeMercy with a wonderful defensive play.
I'll tell you what, Tim, this has been as physical a game as I can remember, and the good thing about it is it's being allowed to play on both ends of the floor. The referee's been very consistent in this game. That's just great hustle from behind.
And as we come back, Sam Young drains the tray. 37-34, Pitt by 3.
And that shot, just another time that it has stepped up and answered the call here. These teams now, after a very rugged first half, are finding some rhythm offensively.
Reed falling away. Blair clears it. Fields is so deceptive. What a look to Blair. So deceptive.
It was just a little hesitation dribble that he got the defender to stand up. He gets to his right hand.
You know, Mike, there are memories of Carl Krauser for me with Levance Fields, and that was one of them. You know, it's sort of a little stop and go in his game.
Classic New York City point guard, and it's and Krauser the same way.
Absolutely.
So, that's a fair comparison.
Reed, that's enough. Offensive foul. Player control. It'll go against him as Sam Young stepped up on the baseline to accept the charge.
Well, he's putting the ball on the floor effectively in this game, but just out of control that time, and he has had trouble keeping his balance. One dribble too many. Would have been served better to pull up and shoot the short little jump shot or kick it out and restart the possession.
We're in the midst now of a 13-0 Pitt run after falling behind 34-26. McGee has it stripped by Louts down on the low block.
Never bring the ball down where the guards can get a hand on it. If he had kept the ball up, he might have scored.
Gary McGee, sophomore from Anderson, Indiana. On the floor now along with Gilbert Brown, Sam Young, Wanamaker, and there's Wanamaker again. An air ball this time. A little quick with that one, and Tony Douglas takes it out of there. Louts along with Singleton. Uche Echefu, Reed, and Douglas on the run out. Foul committed. This one will go against Wanamaker. Brad Wanamaker picks it up for Pitt. Sam Young, I beg your pardon, got the foul. That's his third. There's that deceptive move we were talking about. Fields with a quality Sunday dish to DeJuan Blair.
Introducing the Pan-Normous from Pizza Hut.
This is so huge.
So good.
Pizza's here. Awesome.
Buddy, this thing's a monster.
We are never gonna finish this.
The new Pan-Normous. A pizza so big it never ends, so the party never ends. Get a one-topping Pan-Normous pizza for just $12.99. And start the party this holiday season with Pizza Hut gift cards. Only from America's favorite pizza.
Back when the Devils first came to New Jersey, Wayne Gretzky called the team a Mickey Mouse organization, words that haunted the franchise. But 20 years and 2 Stanley Cups later, the Devils were the class of the NHL, looking to put a punctuation mark on their legacy and forecheck any memories of the Great One's words. So when the Devils played the Disney-owned Mighty Ducks of Anaheim for the Stanley Cup, Continental Airlines Arena became the Magic Kingdom. In Game 7, the fairy tale ended for Disney's Mighty Ducks, appropriately in Jersey. The Devils blanked the Ducks 3-0 that night, giving Scott Stevens, Marty Brodeur, and the entire state of Jersey their third taste of Lord Stanley in 9 years.
What's your greatest day?
39-34, Pittsburgh. A 10-0 run for Florida State to open the half, then a 13-0 to answer for Pitt. Here's our Best Buy Best Connection, and Levance Fields with a little stop-and-go dime drop for DeJuan Blair.
And when that happens, it forces Reed to come over to try to get the block, and that just opens everything up for Blair inside. He follows right behind, is ready for the catch. That's just good basketball inside. Nice passing by Levance Fields, and that's for a guy who only had 1 assist in the first half, doing a little bit better job of getting his team going. They've got 7 assists in the game. They only had 3 in the first half.
Fields, Bavarian High School, Brooklyn, New York. You mentioned classic New York basketball. Mike, this Pitt program is really turned itself around by having the New York athlete. They have gone into the 5 boroughs and gotten some of their best talent. Wanamaker lost it to Douglas.
Well, Barry Rorson, their former assistant who did that, he went to Xaverian as well. And he's now at Manhattan, and then Jamie Dixon and his staff has continued to mine at the New York City area.
Higgs the rebound off the Singleton three-pointer. Again, that Florida State defense really shielding. Now that time it's a push by Blair against Reed. He got caught. He's a little frustrated because he's not been able to do what he wants inside tonight against that long and gifted zone defense.
Well, you can see right there the front inside, and that's the way they've been playing it, and he's just getting frustrated with the push-off. Now what that does do, gives him good offensive rebounding position if the shot goes up, but as far as getting an entry pass, it's much tougher.
Young and Douglas have lived up to the billing as advertised tonight, leading their teams collectively. Douglas has his pocket pick. Really well done by Gilbert Brown. And the authoritative slam on the other end.
Talk about where turnovers occur and the poke behind from there. There's no way the defense can recover on that.
It's almost as if Florida State got Pitt angry by going on that 10-0 run, and the Panthers have really been taking it out on them since.
That's out of Blazing Saddles with Mongo. Don't shoot them, you'll only make them mad.
You know, during the holiday season, I always manage to watch Blazing Saddles, along with Christmas Vacation. Reed stepping out. Not there. Blair with the rebound for Pittsburgh. Gibbs rejected by Etchefu. That's usually, Mike, what ignites Florida State. They'll get a rejection, a run out, something quick down low. That time they forced it. Etchefu lost it out of bounds on the pass from Louts.
Yeah, those are the ones that you really have to, you know, that's a chance on that lob. It's an unforced error. But the trailing out, he got good help that time. Digging in, Gilbert Brown, they got hung up on the screen, but he comes over and gets the turnover, and then the break outside. It's, as we talked about, this Pitt team, very opportunistic. They're a lot quicker. They like to get up the floor and turn their turnovers into points. Blair sits down, which means Biggs, who can play both the 4 and the 5 spot, moves down lower. Goes with Young and Dixon, Tyrell Biggs. It's a much smaller, more athletic team that Pitt has out there right now.
Young, I think he took steps. He did. Florida State has missed its last 7 shots from the floor, and this 15-0 run has given Pitt a 7-point lead.
Well, and we talked about, Timmy, the front lines and figuring in the size, and none of those guys are out on the floor right now.
That's right.
Both teams playing small ball.
Erwin Kitchen, let's see if he can make a solid contribution. Not heard from him much here in the second half. Singleton a little out of control, felt that he was bumped. Fields leaves it for Young on the way in, and Reed slaps him. He'll get to the line. Of course, this Pittsburgh team, one of the undefeated teams in the country. How about Ohio State? I know Clark Kellogg is loving it, but
they just keep losing guys and great players, and
they do.
Just hanging in there.
Connecticut, that was a very impressive win in Seattle against Gonzaga. Boy, Dyson played big down the stretch in that win for them against Mark Few's team yesterday. And Oklahoma is the real deal.
Yep. Jeff Capel doing a terrific job down there. I saw, you know, you're talking about Big Ten and Ohio State. I was very impressed with Purdue yesterday.
Yeah. This is a season really with a lot of guys, Mike, when you think about it. A lot of guys that are power forwards and small forwards that are making a difference, like a Blake Griffin, for instance. Power player at Oklahoma.
Tyler Hansbrough, of course, all his accolades well documented.
Sam Young certainly fits that mold as well. Last field goal for Florida State came with 15:27 to go. We're down to 8:39. They're down by 9 points, so they've hit that wall again as they did in the first half. We'll see if they respond and come out of this funk.
With the smaller players, they've been able to close out on the perimeter shots. That the Florida State hit a couple of those early threes. They haven't gotten many of those looks, and they haven't gotten anything in the post.
Now they're digging into the clock, and Douglas forces up a bad aerial. It's saved nicely. Beautiful work by Singleton, and then an easy one for Kitchen. That might ignite the crowd.
I didn't think there was any way he had a chance to even get a finger on that ball.
Well, what a hustle play that was.
Yeah, just the arms elongated and able to make and recover and make 2 points for his team.
School is not in session, but you wouldn't know it. Immediately behind us, the kids are having a great time tonight. The iron unkind to Dixon, and the foul against Brown. Take a look at this save, G-Man. This is solid stuff, and something that you just don't believe. It's like the Plastic Man there.
Yeah, look at that. The great behind-the-back pass and the great pass inside. Good finish.
That was a laser. We'll be back.
Fridays on Fox Movie Channel, Fox Legacy explores the history of our studio's greatest films. Our host, Tom Rothman, co-chairman of Fox Filmed Entertainment, offers a unique insider's perspective.
I need and keeps me focused throughout the football game. I tell all the players to take 5-hour energy. I mean, they see the way it makes me feel, so I think everybody wants that same type of feeling. I am the 5-hour energy guru. It's the truth. I mean, I wouldn't be taking it. 5-hour energy. I use it. I love it.
Hot bod. B-O-D for me. Check out that bod. I want your bod. Bodman fragrance spray.
I'm Ozzy Osbourne, and I'm the Prince of Darkness.
The Lich King is the Prince of Darkness, Ozzy.
Well, maybe you're the one who's been riding a bloody crazy train, but I've been the Prince of Darkness since 1979.
There can be only one Prince of Darkness.
The all-time greats is with us tonight, calling the commentary for Pittsburgh, Dick Groat. When at Duke, he was an All-America 4 times, an All-American basketball as well as in baseball. 2007 College Basketball Hall of Fame inductee. 52 College Basketball Player of the Year. Oh, by the way, the National League batting champion and MVP with the Pirates. World champs over the Yankees. 64 Cardinals World Series champion.
And I've had the great fortune to know him and become a friend and, known him since my playing days. As a matter of fact, there he is right there. Yep. My senior year was his very first year behind the microphone at Pitt basketball.
How about that? And normally Bill Hillgrove would be with him, but Bill is a little tied up with some NFL duty with the Steelers and the Tennessee Titans today.
Well, you see, he and Dick told me before the game, the greatest honor, you talk about all the things you talk about, he was inducted into the College Basketball Hall of Fame, and he thought he was more touched by that than anything that's happened to him.
Yeah, he's outstanding. I grew up hearing about Dick Groat, learning more about him through a mutual friend of ours, Bino Cook, a longtime SID at Pittsburgh, and later worked with me in television, one of the great historians of football. They named the media workroom and the Peterson Event Center after Bino. We want to send him well wishes during this new year. As you see, Douglas finally getting Florida State off the schneid from field goal shooting.
Well, he has been spectacular in this game. There has been no answer for him from Pitt, and running off screens and that time doing a great job getting to the rim.
Dixon is stripped, but Brown saves it. The shot clock still winding down. Young, an air ball. Threw that one up pretty quickly. I believe Jamie Dixon wanted a timeout. Leslie Jones may have granted it. They may have to put a few more seconds on the shot clock, though.
Well, here it is. You talk about the open, and right now the edge clearly to Young and Blair. I think just from an experience standpoint, you're looking at 2 freshmen for Florida State. But really, I mean, you look at the numbers that Blair has been putting up recently, he has been relatively quiet in this game.
Well, that was a stressful situation, Mike, but I don't know that they wanted a timeout with 1 second on the shot clock.
Yeah, you know what, Timmy, and In the first half, maybe you make that call. Maybe if you got a timeout to burn and it's toward the end of the first half. In the second half, I don't think it's worth the timeout to give it up for that possession.
No. I thought for a moment they may get a second or two back, but apparently not. So now you've just basically got time for catch and shoot.
On an away court? What are you kidding me? You're going to get time back?
Never. Forget about it.
They're lucky they got 1 second left on the clock.
Young, well, there's the violation. It's almost as if he didn't realize. That's just a wasted timeout. That's one of those possessions you could have just let go.
Exactly. Or if you're in that situation, you better get something going up to the rim for a lob or a tip or something.
I really felt that when they took the timeout that the coaching staff felt they were going to get some seconds back. But there was really no debate about it whatsoever. Derwin Kitchen on the floor now with Douglas, Reed, DeMercy, and Singleton. Nice work by DeMercy. Boy, I like this kid.
Yeah, you love to see, and that usually puts a bounce in his step. But how about going back to the left hand? They cut him off on his strong hand. He was still able to finish.
Well, Mike, you said first one to 50. Young takes it to the rack. Blair misses the point-blank follow. And Kitchen comes out of there with it. A floater.
Why, there is a calmness to his game.
Yeah.
I think this kid is really going to help Florida State. That was well under control on that break.
He may have been a bit around the world before he found a home at Florida State, but there's no doubting his basketball IQ. There's a relative calm with this team when he's on the floor. And on the lean in, the foul is spotted. Sam Young again taking it right in there strong.
Here's the look. You see, he's reading things. Nobody really picks him up. Biggs is caught in between. And we talked about his size. He just played right over the top of Levance Fields. There was nothing that he could do. In retreat, no shot blockers back. That's the rule is you have the basketball and nobody stops you on the dribble. Take it as far as you can, and he took it in for the score.
Ryan Reed on the other end got the foul, Mike. That's his fourth. So Leonard Hamilton will have to go to his bench and get Solomon Olaby back into the game. But, you know, going back to the play by Kitchen, he also knew, Derwin Kitchen did, that he had on the wing Tony Douglas, and the defender could not commit. He just said, I'll take an easier bucket right here. Well, what a difference a single player can make during the holiday season for you, huh? That's a tremendous addition for Florida State.
Look in your stocking and find a point guard.
Absolutely. 30-second timeout call. Florida State now has hit 4 field goals. They're in the midst of an 8-2 run, down 3.
Islanders hockey on MSG.
45-42 next week. It's a college hoops triple hitter beginning with ACC Sunday Night Hoops presented by Pizza Hut. Virginia will take on Georgia Tech, followed by Rutgers and #1 North Carolina. Then Texas Tech goes head-to-head against Stanford in a non-conference showdown. It all begins at 5:30 Eastern. You look at the ACC standings, and I'll tell you, we'll see Clemson later tonight. We know how talented Wake is. I don't know that they've been truly tested as yet either. We'll find out more about them as the conference season gets going.
Well, those standings are fine, but then the real standings start taking place.
That's right. That's right. That's right. It's like statistics in conference versus for the entire year.
Right.
Kitchen giving it up to DeMercy. Singleton's open for 3. Nice work on the glass by Tyrell Biggs again. Giving it up to Fields.
8 rebounds for Biggs now, doing a great job along the front line.
He is just a quintessential Pitt postman. Just cleans it all up. Got a tie ball with the arrow to Pittsburgh.
Kind of reminds me of Chevy Troutman a little bit, who played there a couple of years ago. But,
good call.
And he's a guy who is, I mean, he's been basically a 6th man his whole career at Pitt, but now is starting, do all the little dirty work for you. Not a big time scorer, but a big part of what they do.
Another pick. Here comes Douglas. 2-on-1. Kitchen. And a great defensive play by Young to slap it away.
I think he banged knees that time. This is the one. Well, you get a break right here. You get a nice defensive play on the steal. That's Tony Douglas's forte. And just the opportunistic hand in there saves a layup.
Nothing comes easily against Pittsburgh, even when you've got the numbers. Douglas off the pick, running the curl, not there. Boy, on the tip in. That shows you how athletic a player Chris Singleton is. Almost got it to go, and Dwan Blair picks up a fourth foul.
Well, and here's the kid Singleton, and he kind of announced his presence with authority in his first game, Timmy. 12 points, but 17 rebounds, so he is very active on the glass. That's a big foul for Blair.
Let's go over to Jen Hildreth. Jen?
About Chris Singleton, you know, I found it interesting. After Florida State's only loss this year to Northwestern, I talked to Chris before their next game, and I said, you know, what are you looking for from yourself? And he said, well, I need to be more aggressive, and I need to be more of a leader. And I just found that to be really interesting from a freshman. He felt he had to lead, but he already feels that this team really feeds off of him, be it getting to the glass, making a big save like we saw him do a few moments ago. So he's finding different ways to impact the game, but he knows he's got that responsibility.
Well, there are plays that only guys like Chris Singleton can make, and that save is one of them. Well, after hitting 14 of 20 free throws in the first half, those were the first free throws of the second half for Florida State. And they're down 1, 4.5 to play. And Mr. Jaminski, your early thoughts about first 1 to 50 being the winner may hold up.
Yeah, we're getting pretty close.
Biggs in traffic over to Mercy. Nice tap out. Save to Fields for 3. That rainbow goes. 48-44.
He has not been seeing a big basket in this game, but really the shot clock kind of on his back forced into taking that play. I think it was his first made field goal of the game, Timmy.
He's been wheeling and dealing, but not making field goals. You're right. Just like him, though, to hit a big one like that. The Mercy feeding inside. That's nice presence of mind by Kitchen. Did you see that? Did you see him give that up to Etchefu? This player, this is the first significant minutes he's played. The bucket goes to the big fella, but Kitchen made that play.
And they knew he'd probably get his shot blocked, but it's that extra pass and knowing where your teammate is on the weak side.
Derwin Kitchen, number 22. What a difference maker he is going to be. Foul will go against Tony Douglas, his first. Just a marvelous move by Kitchen to give it up to Uche Etchefu.
Miss Sharapova.
Excuse us?
Hi. Hi.
Would it be okay to take a photo?
Go ahead, definitely.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Days to you and yours. A circuitous route traveled by the two of us. You came from Indianapolis. Right. I got from New York. I have to tell you, it was worth being here. This has been fun.
No, big-time game, and we expected that. We expected Florida State to come out and play against a top-ranked national team and really proving their mettle in this game so far.
Absolutely, and I've got a feeling, as you look at the game summary here, Mike, that ultimately it's going to come down to who can finish, who sees that finish line. We know Pittsburgh is adept at it when they're playing at home. But what about on the road?
That first real road test of the year, of course, you know, you've got to think it's going to come down to Tony Douglas and Levance Fields and how those guys. And then, you know, I think it's really been interesting to me that Leonard Hamilton has shown a lot of confidence in Derwin Kitchen and having him in here in an endgame situation.
And why not? Kid has been up to the task. Before this game, Pittsburgh's average scoring margin was 22. Their closest game, most recently at the Peterson Event Center against Siena, a tournament team a year ago. They won by 13. DeMercy a pull-up. Too strong.
Juwan Blair out, a much smaller team still on the floor for Pitt, playing it wide open.
That's an offensive foul. Wanamaker running right into Etchefu.
No shot blockers out there for either team right now, so you have to worry about who's going to step in and take the charge. Etchefu getting over quickly. Great defensive play. Good help side defense. And that little floater really is an effective weapon. He should have pulled up one dribble earlier.
Brown leaves the game. Blair back in, playing with 4. Ryan Reed is out of the game, but he's about to check in. Heading to the scores table now. He, too, has 4 fouls.
Grant Fields on DeMercy. Interesting matchup there.
Kitchen just knows where everyone is. How about that fight? He just knows where everyone is.
Well, I think Uche Echefu better take him out for lunch in the next couple of days because he has been finding him in the second half. It's the second assist that he's gotten on a jump shot.
I mean, it's just been dime after dime. He's going to be Mr. 6-bits by the end of this game, Kitchen. For 3. He's 1 of 10 from the floor, but there's the putback. Sam Young cleaning it up yet again. The Big East most outstanding player in their conference tournament a year ago. Pitt by 2 as we hit the stretches.
Got past him.
Some believe this young man may be the best defensive guard in the country. He picks up Kitchen on the switch. Now Young is isolated against Douglas, and Douglas takes it to the baseline. In and out. Saved by Singleton. Another offensive rebound. Douglas again. Blair the rebound.
It's just so many opportunities. It's best time to shoot the 3 is after an offensive rebound, and Tony Douglas had 2 great looks at it.
Said first one to 50, and Pitt's that team make it 52 as Young uses the window.
Wow, what a great, we talk about under control and balance drive going left and then knifing back to his right hand.
Douglas left free for the 3. Oh, the iron painfully unkind, and then on the run out to Fields. He leaves it for Biggs, gives it back to Dixon, and just like that, a 6-point lead. Jamie Dixon wanted a timeout, did not get it. He can't believe that he didn't get it. Kitchen a 3. And again, these are quick shots now being taken by Florida State, and the foul given up by Singleton.
Talk about poise and finish, and finishing a game team. Right now, this is a number 3 team, and Pitt has made the plays down the stretch. Here's the long lookout, great outlet pass by Blair, and just really nobody back, no white jerseys for Florida State.
Leonard Hamilton wants a timeout, and he is going to get it. 34.9 remaining. Pitt's lead is back up to 6. We'll be right back.
January 9th.
54-48, our score. Tim Brando, Mike Cheminsky, Jen Hildreth. You know, Mike, I go back to that sequence where a couple of offensive rebounds were claimed. Douglas had 2 good looks, couldn't knock it down. And at that point, it seemed that Pittsburgh saw the finish line and how to get there.
Yeah, and played under poise. And the thing is, Timmy, you know, with jump shots, they're a lot different to make and a lot harder in the last minute and a half of a tight ball game against a very good team than they are in the first 38 minutes.
I will say this, though. Against the team that you know is going to dictate pace and tempo, Florida State has shown its fair share of patience. I think in a lot of ways, Mike, they may be growing up tonight. They really well may be, and they certainly have discovered one Derwin Kinchen.
Yeah, and he's getting time, and again, I refer back to the confidence that Leonard Hamilton is showing in him and keeping him out on the floor. And this is a guy who's not had a lot of game experience, but he has played very, very well today.
This proves that if you're good in practice, you can play the game. Kitchen has been fantastic. Oh, that's a deflection. Nice play by DeMercy off of Levance Fields. Leonard got what he wanted out of the timeout.
Yeah, he's coming strong to the ball, but DeMercy has been very active with his hands, got a good strip and a clean call.
And Uche Echefu will check in.
And he's a guy who can knock down a 3-point shot. You're talking about who are the people for Florida State right now, Tony Douglas and Echefu, and also Singleton.
Echefu right on cue with an air ball. DeMercy saves it. Kitchen runs it down. And a steal right into the passing lane. That's his first real mistake. Count it, and a foul on Douglas. That's Kitchen's first real mistake. That was a lazy pass he made that was just snapped out of the air by Dixon.
Yeah, and anytime you make a pass out back toward half court, you better be sure of where it's going. And Dixon has the advantage because he is a left-hander right there. It was right in his wheelhouse. Coming back to Tallahassee and making a Dixon has come up big in the last couple minutes of this game.
He really has. Winding down. Lead is up to 8. Not indicative of the way the game has been played at all. Douglas throwing up a prayer not to be answered. And Levance Fields comes down with it. Pittsburgh is going to get out of here at 12-0 and enjoy the holidays. And Florida State drops its second game of the year, but they, as I said, Mike, I believe they grew up a little bit tonight.
Yeah, no, the game was a lot closer than the score indicated, but they just got to work now on finishing.
Sam Young lived up to the advanced billing tonight in this manly basketball game between Pitt and Florida State. Back to wrap it up after this. Clemson at Miami. Now for Mike Kaminsky, Jen Hildreth, this is Tim Brando wishing you and yours a happy holiday season. A final here in Tallahassee, 56-48.